Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me today. This is Marilyn Gale. I will be talking about Jada Pinkett Smith today and her tragic life. Now, her and her family, they lived in a beautiful estate. Her, Will Smith, and their two children. And you might have seen some of it on the Facebook watch show, Red Table Talk. So, exactly how many bargains with God does one need to make to get 150 acres in Malibu? But we know that nothing comes without a price. And Pinkett Smith has been through more adversity than you might think, having fought for every blessing she's been given. Now, starting with her childhood in Baltimore, Jada certainly has paid her dues. Living with a drug-addicted parent, losing cherished friends, and experiencing a bout with depression that almost ended her life. But she has remained standing, and to be honest, we would expect no less from her. She's all about self-mastery and encouraging others to evolve as well. We all have a bunch of open wounds slamming into each other all day, every day, she said on Instagram in a 2018 motivational message. She says, successful relating is not for the weak at heart. That is why I believe relationships are a spiritual endeavor. Now, let's just take a closer look at her life. She told Pop Sugar publication that her mom, Adrienne Banfield Norris, gave birth to her at a very young age. She revealed on Red Table Talk that her mother was addicted to heroin until she was in her teens. And she said she could tell when her mother was high because she couldn't make it on time to pick her up from school, or she would nod off. Falling asleep is one thing, she said, but then you realize that's not being tired, that's a drug problem. Banfield Norris had been sober since the 1990s. That's an accomplishment. That is an accomplishment, and we give her kudos for that. But she says the scars on her daughter remains, and she sees the emotional damage and the spiritual damage that she did to her and her daughter. And she said that was devastating. But thankfully, Jada and her mom has a close relationship now. Her mom even traveled with her more than once to help take care of the kids. Something that Jada says she is deeply grateful for her doing that. She tells her mom on the Red Table Talk that it helped her so much, because if she didn't have her, she wouldn't been able to do the Matrix. She wouldn't been able to keep working. She went everywhere with her, and because of you, she told her mom, I was able to have my children with me. So thank you. So then she goes on and she tells about how in high school she was a drug dealer. When asked about her relationship with the late rapper Tupac Shakur on SiriusXM Sway's Universe, Jada said, well, she casually dropped a bomb. She says, when I first met Pac, when we met, I was a drug dealer. She didn't elaborate much on the topic during that interview because she said she's planning on writing a book. So she's going to save some of that those details for the book. She says also that her mother saved her because she got her out of Baltimore. She had gotten a scholarship to go to North Carolina School for the Arts. And then something terrible had really happened that her mom found out about. And then one day she just packed a car and was like, we getting out of here. That was the turning point in Jada's life, and one that serves as a change in her relationship with Tupac. She said the relationship started one way with Pac, and then it switched roles. It was the thing that bound us, that also the thing that broke us apart, she told Access Hollywood. She was devastated by Tupac's death, and she goes on to quickly tell about that. She said that her and Pac became friends after they met on her first day at Baltimore High School for the Arts. And she instantly felt that he was the type of guy that she could hang out with. And he eventually drew her to him like a magnet, she explains. She also wants you to know that they had a platonic friendship even after Tupac went to prison and Jada had moved to Los Angeles. But once Tupac was released, she said it seems like his outlook on life seemed to change, causing a rift between them. In one interview, she told Howard Stern that they had a hardcore disagreement, and she didn't like the direction he was taking. He felt that she had changed, and looking back, she said she totally understand where Pac was coming from, because at that particular point, the mentality was part of his survival. It was a mentality that he started to come out of before he was murdered. This wasn't their first time. They had a blowout and they stopped speaking. But before Shakur was fatally shot and killed in 1996, Jada said she regret not having the opportunity to tell him that she loved him. And you know what, Jada? I think he knew. I think he knew. We have fallouts with people, and even if we never get to tell them I'm sorry, I think they know. I think they realize it. And whatever they are, I think that they just have that knowledge. That was my friend. That was my buddy. That was my loved one. She loved me. I loved her. Or vice versa. But till this day, Jada is emotional about losing her friend. She says that when you have someone that got your back, when you feel like you're nothing, she said that's everything. Okay, as the story progresses, and I think I've mentioned this once before in another podcast where Jada admits to pulling a knife on her boyfriend. Let's go deeper into it. So Jada says that while she's never been in a physically abusive relationship, she has felt threatened by one of her exes. While talking on Red Table Talk in November 2018, she tells the story of how her ex-boyfriend while she describes him as a sweet guy, but he had tendencies of violence. Now, I'm confused about that, guys. That sounds like an oxymoron, a sweet guy with tendencies of violence. I guess that's a split personality. One time, sometimes they're sweet and nice, and then something switches, flips the script on people, and they just reverse who they are. I don't know. It could be, I don't know, some type of depression sets in. I'm not a psychologist, but I'm just guessing. Maybe with some people, when they're feeling depressed, they might feel that way. But anyway, she said that she was frightened one night with his aggressive behavior. And she said he didn't hit her, but she wasn't going to let that situation escalate. So instead, she grabbed the biggest knife she could find to keep away from her, to make him keep away from her. She said she remembered grabbing a big old knife from the kitchen and hiding in Tupac's son's room. She said she'll never forget he came through the backsliding door like on a creep, like he was going to sneak up on her or something. So she came out of his son's room and was like, "Don't come near me." And he said with this quintessential line that you hear in movies all the time, and this is how she's describing. He said, "You think I would hurt you? I would never do that to you." I was like, oh my God, I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble. You know what? That's what they say. I would never hurt you. And they, end up stabbing you in the neck. Anyway, the star said that she credited Spike Lee for helping her get out of that relationship. He had been calling her about a role he had from her in in a movie Girls 6. And she used Spike as an excuse to get on that plane and get away from her ex. So as she further tells more and more, she says she's an ex-addict. Alcohol and other forms of addiction, she said, runs in her family. And she revealed this on Red Temple Talk. She said she was no exception. She said that her addiction seemed to jump around. She thought that she also had a sex addiction. And everything could be fixed by having sex. And she said, looking back on her behavior, the sex gave her addiction away. It's not what you're doing, she says, but why you're doing it. It's the behavior that is attached to it. Because if you want to have a lot of sex, that's great. But why are you having all that sex? That's what you got to look at. She describes herself as a binger who has several addictions. Always having to watch herself just how she get obsessed with things. Now, I knew that about her just by before she's admitting it now, because to me, she appeared to, from what she said, she appeared to just have that addictive behavior. Not like, okay, we're addictive personality. Not like we're addicted to her personality. Addictive personality meaning everything she does it too much. She does it in excess. And I realized that, but I'm so glad to hear her admit it, because not being a psychologist or anything, and psychology has been something that I'm very interested in. So, and I worked all my life practically in social services, abusive women, abused women, children, sexual abuse, physical abuse. So that's been, my experience all of my work life as an adult. But she said one time she was in the house by herself, and she had already drank 2 bottles of wine and was going for the 3rd bottle. And she was like, hold up, you in this house by yourself, going onto your 3rd bottle of wine. You might have a problem. So she said she went cold turkey. Now, guys, that's indicating to me that's a strong woman. A lot of people have those problems. They go to rehab once, twice, 3 times until they're a recovering addict. And then some never recover. They stay in that addiction. So to me, that just shows how strong Jada was and is. So further, she tells about her contemplating suicide with the drug addiction and it weighing heavily on her life since childhood. Jada eventually hit an emotional low point. And on another episode of Red Table Talk, she opened up about wanting to commit suicide when she was 20 years old, and how she called her mother in a panic. She said she just had an emotional breakdown that affected her mental stability. She said she had gotten to LA, gotten a certain amount of success, and realized that the success wasn't the answer. The success wasn't what was going to make everything okay. Actually, it made things worse. And she said she became extremely suicidal. She half joked about why she thought that she would be exempt from emotional pain once she became successful. And you know what, guys? I think that a lot of the people in the entertainment field, they start out, they're striving, they're on their grind, and they think, oh, when I make it, they're going to be totally okay. They're not going to have any pain, whether it be emotional or what have you. And I'll say this to a lot of people on YouTube, in these YouTube streets. We're grinding and think, as soon as we become monetized, it's going to be sweet. And just looking at certain videos that I've watched from people who are monetized, the problems don't stop, guys. You're just in a different stage. So, back to Jada. She was saying that she managed the situation with Prozac. That it had to put her in a place, they put her in a place that would get her where she could talk about what was happening, where she could function. But she said she didn't know that it would kill her sex drive. So Jada said she quit the medication. And she said that the therapy also didn't help. And it forced her to forge her own path to mental health. But she does say, despite her decision to quit therapy and medication, that she acknowledges that for many, these treatments do work and are necessary. So I'm glad she said that, because, the medication may not be for everyone. And I know in a lot of medications, there's so many side effects. It's like, okay, I'd rather deal with the condition, And let me just throw something in here real quick. I won't say the doctor, and I will say the medication. It was for my diabetes, and I was prescribed a medication. But the side effects would be that it could cause gangrene in my in my private area. Who want to walk around with gangrene in their private area? So guys, like Jada, I didn't take the medication. Give me something else, because I've lived all this time without gangrene in my private area. I don't want it rotten now. Thank you very much. But let's get back to Jada. I just had to throw that in there. You know me. But I just want to address that suicidal part of this article. If you or someone you know is having suicidal thoughts, please call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK. Let me repeat that. 1-800-273-TALK. That's 8255, the last 4 numbers. Now, guys, we all have a story to tell. Things that has happened to us that help mold who we are today. Things that affect us, that stuck with us all our lives. I'm not here to defend or condemn Jada. Some of the things that she went through. I do think sometimes that she has regrets of some of the things in her earlier years. Now, this article was long, so I left the link in the description area. And it tells some things about her husband, Will Smith, and his movies. It tells a little bit about Willow and Jada, and some of the things, Jaden, and some of the things that they went through. There are times when I heard of this family, and I would want to say, Jada, go someplace and sit yourself down and take Willow with you. And then I would look at Will and I would say, that's just stupid. I see where Jaden get that madness from, but in reality, I like them. I like them guys. They are very different from myself. And no way do I want to live the way they live and have some of the philosophies that they have. But like us all, they need prayer, just for different reasons. And guys, I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you for joining me. Please subscribe to my channel. Hit that notification. And guys, I'm going to say it again. When I say please subscribe, I am not begging. I was called out on that. I am not begging. It's just a courtesy. It's just being polite. That's how I was taught growing up. You say please and thank you. So subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can get further indications when a new video or podcast is coming out. And have a lovely day. It's Friday, the weekend. I might just stay home. I'll probably do another podcast or video. I got some shrimp and grits from HSN, and a friend of mine just raved about how good they were. So the shrimp and grits were. So I got me some, and from this Southern chef, of course. And like I said, if I'm going to probably eat that tomorrow and do a mukbang. So watch out for the mukbang. I'll probably put it on my main channel, and this channel, and save save another mukbang or cooking show for Eat with Marilyn. But stay tuned, and like I say, join my other channel, Eat with Marilyn, Gail, and like I said, have a beautiful, beautiful weekend. It's about in the 90s out here in the part of California that I live in. So right now I'm just chilling with my dogs, and have no intentions on going out until it gets a little cooler. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you for the subscribers that's been with me like from day one. I really appreciate all you guys. You make this channel successful. Thank you so much, and have a good evening.